Hello.
Hi, this is Dirty Laundry with Chris and Karen.
Nice to see you all again.
Hope you're all doing well.
Yeah, thank you for listening. We're doing this is our third on our own. Or is
second or third. I don't know. After you have a couple glasses of wine, it really doesn't matter, does it?
Pass me the wine, by the way.
It's hard in this kayak. I'm afraid I'm going to lose it all.
All right, so
we're out in the middle of the lake right now. We thought it would be really fun to do the show from here. I don't know if you can hear the paddles in the water.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's a little blustery out.
Yeah, but it's good.
Yeah.
Try not to spill your wine, Karen. So you know what I want to talk about today?
What?
I want to talk about communication, because lately there seems to be a lot of people that are having a hard time saying what they mean in my life. Maybe it's me, I don't know, but it seems like we live in a time of all these devices we have to communicate better.
And we can't communicate. Yeah, like try calling your local phone company or whatever and see how long it takes you to get to somebody and how many times they pass you to somebody else.
Yeah, or not even just a one-to-one, business thing or whatever, and the person doesn't respond to your phone call or email. I mean, if you're going to send an email, even if, just say, I got it.
Yeah.
Just respond. Thanks.
I had a teacher one time I sent him this long letter. Mm-hmm. I was in a class and I was trying to understand something. He sent me a one-word reply.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. That's when I went, okay. I didn't take him seriously anymore.
No.
From that point. I did the class, but if he's not going to give me anything,
right,
and he's in the teaching position, he's in the communication business, and he can't even communicate.
Yeah, it's hard with, especially, I think a lot of us have gotten the habit of texting or emailing. Yeah. And especially like little kids that have phones really young and they text or email. I'm fearful of what they're going to, when they become adults.
Yeah.
How they're going to communicate. I mean, that's great.
By text.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids that don't even want to get on the phone to talk. They're embarrassed to get on the phone and talk. I don't really understand that.
I know.
Texting is good for getting simple messages out, but it doesn't give you the person's, like if you say no, it's just going to say no. Everything's going to be cut and dry.
Right.
It doesn't have any accents on words, or if you're laughing or if you're upset. There's no emotion.
And people misinterpret, like sometimes I think I'm really funny if I send a text.
You are.
Or email, and I've had a really old friend get offended over something I've said, and I've had to, write back and go, no, I was just kidding, and then reread it, what I wrote, and thought, how could she misinterpret that? Mm-hmm. But you do. You're not hearing the person's tone of voice. You're not looking at them. So I don't know.
Well, communication's a huge subject, and I know you did your homework and I did mine. And we were going to do pet peeves, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, or later, whatever.
Yeah.
So first, I always like to define everything.
Yeah.
So I want to define the word communication.
Alrighty.
It's the act of using words, sounds, signs, or behaviors to express or exchange information, or to express ideas, thoughts, feelings, etc. to someone else. So that pretty much says it all. That's from the Webster Dictionary.
All right. Hey, and there's also communication with oneself.
Oh, let's go there.
I don't know. I haven't talked to myself in a while.
Okay.
But I mean, that is another good thing, because I think we're easily deceived by ourselves. We don't always know what we really think.
That's true most of the time in my case.
You had this blank look on your face. I was just like, were you thinking about that, or thinking I was really stupid for saying
No, I was thinking about that. And what I was thinking about, this is kind of like gonna go, duh. It's like, you know, when you're doing something and you talk to yourself, like, okay, I'm gonna go in the other room and I'm gonna do this, and this. I do that all the time. I talk to myself.
Way to get things done.
Or if I'm, say, working on something, like, say, making something with clay, I'll really talk to myself and go, okay, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and you gotta...
So you talk out loud?
Yeah. I know, scary.
Well, I do that when I've done something that I think, in my opinion, is really dumb. And I go, God, oh my God, you're so stupid. And then I'll apologize to myself.
I don't know who's scarier, you or me.
Put the two together?
No, it's like if I say something out loud, then it helps me to think about it more clearly. I guess that's why.
Yeah, I think that's part of writing too. It's a really good way of putting something out so you have a chance to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually you could elaborate on it. It opens the doors up to be able to see it.
Yeah.
You know, in its entirety.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Tell me some of the things
Some of the things that I learned that I thought were really cool. Two of them in particular. And it came from the site just called Improve Your Communication. I love this. It says, realize that your perception of reality is partial and dependent on your own experiences. I love that.
Yeah, that's great. But it's so true.
Yeah.
We think everything is true because we see it. Well, what do we see? Only what we think we see.
Well, not only that, it's like everybody, yes. I guess I was going to say the same thing you just said in a different way. Because we're communicating.
We're trying here.
No, it's like talking to my brother, for instance, and we both have a memory, maybe something that happened around the dinner table when we were kids. And his remembrance of it is so much different than mine.
That's interesting.
You know, so much different. He'll go, I don't remember that, or I don't, you know, or no, that isn't what happened. And we just crack up laughing because it's like, were you in the same family? Were you at the same dinner that I was?
In a different dimension.
Yeah,
than I was.
but it's like even my two kids, the same thing, you know?
Right.
Everybody's perception is different.
Yeah.
So in remembering that, I think it's important when you're talking to someone to realize that you might have seen the same thing, but they're seeing it so completely different.
Yeah, and they're two different people from different experiences translating it in their own way. Sometimes if you're with somebody, you can have like a mind meld.
Yeah.
And that's great.
But I call it the Vulcan mind meld. Put your two fingers on their forehead.
Oh yes. Well, I like that, but it doesn't happen that often.
No, it's not often you meet a Vulcan.
No. I like those pointy ears.
I do too. It's sexy.
Do you remember him from Leonard Nimoy from, what was that show? It was like a show from a long time ago. It was in the afternoon.
Like a soap opera?
Yeah, it was a soap opera.
Mm-mm.
And we'll have to look that one up.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody knows. It's at the tip of my tongue.
The only soap opera I ever watched was Dark Shadows.
That's it?
Because there's vampires.
Dark Shadows.
He was in that?
I think so.
Oh my God.
Unless I'm thinking of something else.
Huh.
But I'm pretty sure it was that.
Okay, well, I'll Google that.
Because he would be a perfect vampire.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Oh, what were we talking? Oh, communication. See, look how good we're communicating.
So, taking other people's perceptions of reality to be as true as your own.
Well, that's a difficult one because most people, and this kind of goes along with what you just said, and I got this from a website, Susie Heitler, PhD, and what she said was very similar. If I can find it. Tell me again what you said.
I said Vulcans are sexy. taking other people's perceptions of realities to be as true as your own.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we were just talking about like my brother and I being in the, at the same time, at the same place, experiencing the same thing, but seeing it totally different. Well, that's his perception.
Right.
So I can't say that that's not true. It was true for him. It wasn't true for me, but it was true for him. So you have to take that into consideration when somebody's telling you something, when you're communicating.
Absolutely. This was what it was because we want to be heard, we want to get our message out. So we're not listening to what the other is saying because we're waiting for our turn. And I notice myself doing that. Like if I have something, mostly because I'm afraid I'm going to forget what I was going to say.
Hello.
But we're very young. You just can't see our
youth, our glow youth.
We are glowing. Yeah.
On that note, the thing that of everything I read, and I've always thought this too, is the key to being a great communicator or a good communicator is to listen. I mean, really listen.
Yes.
Not just hear, but listen. And it's a skill, I think.
It is.
That you have to practice and practice and practice.
And I think did you go to a different site, or which site did you get that from?
I don't know where I got that. I might have just wrote that one down because I always feel that, especially in my family, because we all talk so much and stuff, and everybody's like talking over everybody, and
everybody's trying, especially if you come from a larger family, and that was something that this woman said, is that your communication skills are learned through your childhood experiences. So if you come from a big family and everybody's like talking and yelling at the same time, you're going to have to find a way to get your message across. And I've met people that when you come together with them, you might as well not have a voice, because they're just going to talk and talk and talk, and there's not going to be a period in that sentence. And somehow they're going to take that, whatever they started out with, and move it in a completely different direction without even breathing. So it always makes me think, well, they must come from a big family where they weren't heard, or they feel like they don't have a voice, or nobody sees them, or nobody cares about what they're saying, so they feel they have to compensate by being the only one in the room.
Sometimes I think I think you're totally right, but sometimes I also think that people who work by themselves all day, they either work at home or they're artists and they're in their studio and they work by themselves, whatever, and they don't really have someone to talk to during the day. It's not like you're working with other people or you're in school with other people all day long. So those people who are alone most of the day, when they have someone to talk to, especially if you know them well, it's like it just comes, it's like diarrhea of the mouth. It just comes flooding out. And they have so much to say, and their minds have been, reeling and with information that they just want to pour out. Sometimes I think it's that too.
Yeah, I think so too. I know somebody like that.
Me too. But seriously, I think listening is the biggest thing. I mean, when I say maybe listen, I wish there was a more...
Well, in Forbes, it says, listen with your eyes and your ears. It's a two-way street. Know how to ask good questions, and then listen with your eyes and ears. So really pay attention to their body language, if they're leaning into you, if they're sitting back, how do they feel? Do they feel comfortable? Is this hard for them to discuss? How loud or soft is their voice? I think that there's a lot of things about it, but really giving somebody the space to say what they need to say, and especially if you're arguing. Because then if you're in an argument, and that was something that the Susie Heitler said, if you're in a heated conversation, you're best to either walk out of the space and calm down, Or if you can't calm down, wait until another day. Because ultimately you're going to say something that you don't mean or that's going to be hurtful, and it's not worth it. But it could have been, why didn't you sweep the floor? I was doing something else. And that escalates into, you don't even love me anymore.
Yeah.
How does it get from
one person isn't listening too. I mean, that's, basically it. Along with the body language, which we kind of talked about that the other day, and I half believe in body language and I half don't. I think it's okay if you're in a business meeting or something, but if you really get to know the person, you might see that the body language you interpreted doesn't mean that anymore. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always got my legs crossed and my arms crossed and
Misreading.
like in a ball.
Yeah.
Maybe that means I'm uptight. Yeah. I don't know.
Or you're just cold.
Or I'm just cold. But one thing that really bugs me is when people don't make eye contact. I don't mean all the time, but most of the time. I used to work with this lovely, lovely young woman who was smart and fun, and we worked well together and all that. She was great, but she never made eye contact with anybody. So if she was talking to you, she'd be like looking across the room or any other place. And at first I thought it was just me, and then I noticed with customers and just her friends, she always did that. And I wonder where that came from. She never looked in anybody's eyes.
Sometimes that is a sign of autism. And somebody can have autism. I think we all have a little autism. I really do. I notice things in myself, and there can be lesser or greater amounts of that.
Yeah, degrees.
But autism has something to do with the connection between two people, and I've noticed that, or Asperger's, that's another one. There's a great, I don't know if you saw, I posted it on Facebook. There's these comics, and they're Asperger autistic comics. I can't wait to see it.
I know.
I mean, it looks really good because I think that we're not in the know about a lot of these things. And these are human beings that have this, I don't want to call it a disability, but it's something that makes it harder in their lives.
To communicate, for sure.
To communicate. And here they're communicating by being funny.
Which is great.
I know, it's beautiful and powerful.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see that. But I've noticed people that are like that.
Yeah.
And it makes me think that obviously there's something in them that makes it difficult for them to actually look into your eyes.
Yeah, I don't get that because we got to be really good friends and stuff, and even after I moved away, we still,
that was probably easier. Because you have to look in your eyes.
I don't know, but it's disconcerting.
It is.
Yeah.
You always go like, what are you looking at? Is there something over there that's better than what we're talking about? It's true. I mean, I always feel when somebody doesn't look at me and here's a pet peeve.
All right.
Okay. So you're sitting and you're talking to somebody, and then they suddenly are watching somebody else in the room. That pisses me off. Like suddenly what I'm saying is secondary to whatever else is going on.
But it's hard, though, in defense.
Yeah.
No, like if you're in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And you're sitting across the table from me.
Right.
If somebody comes in the door, I have to look for a second. I do. I can't not look.
I understand. There's a difference between that and actually your eyes are always everywhere else.
Oh, no, I get what you're saying.
The person who's conversing with you.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I think it's really important to center and focus on what is before you. And yeah, there's things that can be distracting, but to come back to.
Like that alligator that's coming up behind your kayak right now.
Oh my God. All right, Chris, you have to you have to get into the water. Come on.
Okay.
All right, it's your turn. It's your turn. All right, we're taking a break here, folks, because Chris is about to jump into the water. All right, go. She's got him around the neck. Oh, God.
I'm all wet, too.
She won. But she didn't kill him. We just had to teach him a lesson.
I just thought of something else that a friend of mine was talking about, and it was hilarious when she was talking about it, but it's so true. I see it. So, just because we all speak English doesn't mean we speak the same language. I did get that from a blog, Embrace Possibility blog, but a friend of mine was talking about, it seems like whenever her and her husband are talking to each other, says she can see the words leaving her mouth, going across the room, and in midair, somehow they change into Martian or a different language, because by the time he gets it in his ear and responds, it's like, huh? That isn't what I said. How did you interpret that from what I just said? And then he'll say something, speak, in answer to whatever she said, and as it comes across the room, she can see it changing languages again. By the time it gets to her ear, it's something different. In other words,
married?
But they interpret things differently. Like he'll get defensive or think she's being funny or just take it wrong. Just not all the time, but a lot of times, especially when they're having a serious discussion. And she says, it's like all of a sudden we're both speaking a foreign language. So when I saw this, I thought this was so great. Just because we all speak English doesn't mean we speak the same language.
It's true. And it makes me think about that when you're in a relationship, and let's say you've been in a relationship.
I'm so wet. I hope I never see that alligator again.
He won't come by you again. He knows better now. And there's not that many in this lake.
No, who knew Oregon had alligators, especially on the coast?
I mean, I've seen him from afar, but he didn't look as big as he actually was.
I'm going to kick his ass.
Maybe I can make him into a pet. Instead of a kayak, I could just sit on his back and he can row me across.
That's a great idea.
He can take me to all those trees over there. That when you're in a relationship for a long time, things start to build up. There's resentments that happen, and you create a story about each other. And then you start seeing each other according to what you think you know about the other one. Mm-hmm. And then when they say something to you, you've already translated it because of your story. And you haven't even heard what they're really saying. And I'm talking from experience.
I'm guilty of that. Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah.
We all are. That's a really tough one. It's almost like you have to default in a relationship. Can you really take it back to the simplicity of when you first met and when you were first really looking into each other's eyes and you didn't know each other, so you were paying attention. And
is he going to be good in bed?
Yeah, is he going to do what I need him to do? Because I know I can do what he needs me to do. I don't care if he
talks or communicates.
There's different ways to talk.
Another example of that is with your kids. Not only you towards your kids, but your kids towards you. In other words, you have adult children and your adult child still thinks of you like she did when she was 12 or 13. Yeah. Well, you did this to me, you acted this way to me, so you must still be acting like that. Well, you acted that way because she was a child and you were the adult.
Right. I had to be a policeman back there.
Right, exactly. So as they've gotten older, they can't see you being as an individual, and they don't communicate that way.
Right.
And I can see parents doing that to their children as well. Okay, they're adults now, so you don't need to treat them like they're, a child. You don't need to do things.
And it doesn't help that you do that.
No, it does not help. No. I try really hard not to do that.
Yeah, no. I mean, at some point, it's really nice to be able to just be friends with your kids.
Yeah.
And I really do believe and feel I don't believe this. I truly feel that to be a good parent, you can't be their friend. You have to be a parent.
When they're children, I agree.
And then when they get older, then you get to, enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Right. But if you're not communicating, if they're not listening or you're not listening, really listening to who they are, who they have become as a person, and who you have become, then one or both of you is going to be stuck in that old pattern, and there's no communication then.
Yeah. And that happens all the time.
Yes, all the time.
Well, these are very good things to think about. One of the things that I really liked that the Susie Heitler, she said there's 5 common pitfalls, and but I don't want to go through all of them. But one of the things that I really like is a pitfall, compromise. She says compromise produces 2 losers, a lose-lose situation. A win-win solution occurs when her way meets his way to create our way. So
that's right. Especially if it's my way.
And I'm not really sure exactly. I can't think of anything in my life where I can see that, but I do feel that it's important. Again, if you're both listening to each other, you're both people with your own feelings and needs, and somehow there should be a way that you can both have your way without it disturbing the other person. And maybe from you both having your way, you find a commonality that's not a compromise. That's something that you enjoy just as much or more because you're able to do it together.
Right.
And I have, speaking out of my ass,
she is too.
Yeah, really.
It's amazing how she can throw her voice.
And how my voice sounds so much the same, too. It took me a long time.
Okay, we're hysterical.
But okay, so what's the other one? In the tail and the donkey, you should playing the blame game and looking at yourself, your behavior, asking yourself what you can do differently, not what your partner can do differently. So, here was another one. Thinking marriage is like walking. Just because you hear doesn't make you a good listener.
Right.
And she says that marriage is more akin to being a professional athlete. It requires learning complex skills with lots of practice.
Boy,
and
that's for sure.
Marriage, relationship, anything, it's all fun and games when you first get involved. But the real test is, and if it is a test, of when things aren't going your way or there's some type of uncomfortableness, how can you talk, or I'll put it to me, how can I talk in a way that's not accusatory, that's simply saying, I'm feeling this way, I'm not blaming you, but something has come up within me that's stirring these emotions.
That's a really good way to put it, because sometimes, even if you are really communicating, there's just some people who I feel are shut down.
Yeah.
So they just don't communicate. They will either be passive aggressive or just walk away. And I don't mean like in an argument or anything. They just don't, they don't like confrontation. Well, I don't like confrontation either, but it's not even that. That's even further. I'm talking about just, you're trying to get someone, you're trying to resolve something, so you're trying to get this person to tell you how they feel, and they just will like, I don't know, or it's okay, or
there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. And there is, and and then that kind of fuels a fire within you. It kind of makes you angry.
Yeah.
That goes on for too long.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know. I think what you just said is a good way to get someone to talk to you. But sometimes, I don't know, I've encountered people that you just can, put it every way you want so that it's not on them. It's, I feel like this, it's me, and blah, 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 it's me, it's I. So that
it makes it more comfortable for them,
right?
But they're still not going to,
and they would
rather
to
ignore the situation, wait a few days, and hope that you just go back to what you were doing before. And that, folks, is not communication.
No, that's a drag.
It is a drag. It's hard, and it doesn't mean that it's always going to be easy. But my experience is that I build these things up. I think that's the number one problem that I have, is that when something is bothering me, I try and figure out a way to not say anything about it. To go, okay, this isn't really a big deal. But what it's doing is it's brewing inside of me, and I'm creating even something larger than it really is.
Right.
Instead of coming out and saying, I feel a little uncomfortable about this, or I don't know why, but this stirred something in me, and I would feel better if we just talked about it and I could get it out. And pretty much every time I've done that, whatever partner I was with, I felt like this huge block had been taken off of me, because it was done. It was resolved. We worked it out. It doesn't mean it doesn't have the potential to come back, but that's what relationship is about.
No, I agree. Even at work, I've had those situations at a job.
Yeah.
I find it easier to talk if I've worked with a bunch of women for some reason than guys. Guys tend to let things just go, don't communicate at work. Yeah, even, and just little things. It's just easier just to say it and let's talk about this.
Yeah. It doesn't mean...
And then it turns out it's never a big deal.
Right. And it doesn't mean that the person is going to hate you or whatever.
Because most of the time they've been wanting to get it out in the open. And it's nothing. It turns out, oh, God, that was nothing.
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, I still love you.
Yeah, you're making it, big in your mind. Another thing, this is from Embrace Possibilities blog that I loved, is your intentions don't matter. It's about the response that you get. And I thought that was interesting. So, say you want to communicate something to somebody, and I'm trying to think of an example. Just like what we were talking about, something that's bugging you that you want to get out in the open. Your intention is to clear the air. So you do that, and you think that you communicated what you felt.
And they mistook it.
And in a clear way. And they totally mistook it.
And they're mad at you.
And they're pissed off and stuff.
Well,
so that says is...
They're crazy.
That's true. But besides that you didn't communicate it as well as you thought.
Apparently not. Or, if you see that... This was a long time ago. I had a friend who I invited this person to come and spend some time when we lived up that way.
Up the creek.
Up the creek. Actually, up the river. Upriver. And, man, this person could talk. I mean, we'd sit down in the morning, and my ass hurt. I finally have to say, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I don't mean my ass hurt because of that. I just because she did not stop talking the whole time. And then we're up in the garden one day, and I happened to be able to say something out loud. And she turns and she looks at me and she goes, what do you mean by that?
What?
Yeah. Oh, you meant you were being underhanded when you said that. And I was like, what? I had to stop, and I really turned it around and looked at myself and went, did I have ulterior motives in what I was saying? And I did. I looked at it and I went, no, you're wrong.
Was I speaking Martian?
Yeah.
Do you ever talk to people like that and you think, is it me? When you're talking, having a conversation, well, it sounds like sort of like that.
Yeah.
Is it me? didn't I say these words?
No, she was a Martian.
Okay, so that's why I like the your intentions don't matter. It's about the response that you get. I think that's more a business kind of thing, like at work or I don't know, because if it was a relationship, like friend, lover, husband, whatever, if you got a really negative response,
you have to look at how you. It is interesting. It's food for thought.
Yeah.
So, folks, we didn't really get to tell you that we have an email site. Speaking of communication, I'm not doing a very good job, but
your intentions are good.
I know, my intentions are so good. But our email site is dirtylaundrychrisandkaren@gmail.com. That's Chris with a C and Karen with a K. And we are wanting your thoughts, the things that interest you, or your comments about what we're talking about. Or you could say, you guys, you're full of shit. You're full of urine. How come nobody says that?
I don't know. I like that. I think that should be our new thing.
You're full of pee.
You're full of urine. I like urine.
Urine what?
Pee soon.
I mean, who made up these things?
I don't know.
But anyhow.
So let us know what you think, or leave comments below.
And we are going to be posting on Facebook as well.
Yes.
So we're getting all that stuff together. We will have in an upcoming YouTube channel. We'll be in disguise, but you'll be able to see us. But you won't know who the hell we are.
We could be your creepy next door neighbor.
We probably are, since we live in such a small town. Everybody's your next door neighbor.
Not creepy, though.
No.
So that was fun.
That was very fun.
So we hope you'll join us again next time.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we welcome again your comments, and you'll hear from us real soon.
Have a fabulous day.
Fab.
Peace.
Peace and love.